Today, we are going to pull back the curtain on a really clever technique called multi-query RAG. Now, don't worry about the acronyms. All you need to know is that this is a powerful trick that teaches an AI how to ask better questions on your behalf, fixing one of the most common and annoying problems we have with AI today.
You've been there, right? I mean, we all have. You ask a chatbot something that seems perfectly clear, and what you get back is, well, just completely useless. It's so frustrating when that happens.
So, for example, let's say you're trying to learn about some new AI research. You ask, tell me about the key ideas in the new paper on agents. You're obviously talking about AI agents. But the AI comes back with, an agent is a person who acts on behalf of another. Thanks, I guess. It completely missed the context, even though your question felt totally specific.
So what's actually going wrong here? Well, the problem usually isn't that the AI doesn't have the information. The real flaw is in how it searches for that information based on that single question you gave it. See, under the hood, these AIs use something called semantic search. They're not just matching keywords, they're trying to understand the meaning of what you asked. You can picture all of its knowledge as this giant map where similar ideas are clustered together. If your question is even a little bit ambiguous, it can point to the wrong spot on the map and boom, the whole search goes off in the wrong direction.
So, what's the solution? Well, it's actually a pretty elegant one. What if the AI didn't have to rely on just that one shot you gave it? What if instead, it could automatically come up with a few different ways to ask your question, approaching the problem from multiple angles all at once?
This whole idea is part of a bigger category called query translation. And it's exactly what it sounds like. You take the user's original question, you transform it, and by doing so, you dramatically boost the odds of finding the right stuff. And that brings us to the specific technique we're diving into today, which is one of the most powerful and, honestly, intuitive ways to do this, the multi-query approach. I love how the folks at LangChain describe this. They call it a shotgun approach, and that's a perfect analogy, right? Instead of taking one precise shot that might completely miss the target, you're fanning out the pellets. You're creating several different versions of the question from different perspectives, which just massively increases the chances that at least one of them will hit the mark.
Okay, let's make this real. We'll go back to our original question, the one that failed before. Tell me about the key ideas in the new paper on agents.
Now, with the multi-query approach, the AI doesn't just take that one question at face value. Instead, it does a little brainstorming session all by itself. It generates a whole list of alternatives, like what are the main concepts, or summarize the core findings. It even asks about challenges and the agent's architecture. It's basically anticipating all the different ways you could have asked the question to cover all its bases.
Okay, so we get the what. It asked the question in a bunch of different ways. Now let's pop the hood and look at the how. How does this actually work step by step?
It's a really straightforward four-step process. First, it generates that list of different questions. Step 2, it retrieves information by running a separate search for each and every one of those new questions. Third, it performs a union. It just takes all the documents it found from all those searches, tosses them into one big pile, and gets rid of any duplicates. And finally, step 4, it answers your original question, but now it's using that much richer, more complete set of information to do it.
So what's the big payoff here? Why go through all that extra work? Well, this is where it gets really cool, because this is how you assemble a truly smart answer. This table makes it super clear. Look, your original question might have only been close enough on that information map to find document A, which just talks about the basic concepts. But those new questions it generated about findings and limitations, well, they found documents B and C. Each question pulls in a different vital piece of the puzzle. So the end result is that the AI gets to build its final answer from a much, much wider and more relevant pool of information. It's not just relying on one piece of the puzzle anymore, it's looking at the whole picture. And that's how you get that single, high-quality, comprehensive answer you were looking for in the first place.
You know, this might seem like a simple little trick on the surface, but it's actually a really big deal. And understanding why it matters so much tells us a lot about where AI is going.
So let's just boil it down. Why does this matter? Well, first, it makes the AI way more reliable. It's a safety net for when we don't word our questions perfectly.
Second, the answers become far more comprehensive because they're built from multiple points of view. And those two things together lead to a more robust AI overall, one that's just more helpful and less likely to get tripped up. And maybe most importantly, you should think of this as a foundational building block. It's just one of many query translation tricks that are making AIs smarter communicators.
And that leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. If AIs get really good at figuring out the intent behind our words, not just the literal words themselves, how is that going to change the way we talk to them? What does that future of communication even look like?